Feeding management. There is much more to determining the daily amount of feed than the bird's age. There is much more to determining the daily amount of feed than the bird's age. You must consider the needs of the birds, their level of production and the egg weights, as well as the weight of the birds themselves. Watching behavior at feeding time provides a lot of information, and therefore it can help a lot in adjusting the management accordingly. This information is usually one step ahead of production performance. The combination of production, bird weight, and egg weight are always leading indicators for the actual daily amount of feed. The combination of production, bird weight, and egg weight are always leading indicators for the actual daily amount of feed. In very productive flocks, it is important to give enough feed to maintain that production, but also when egg weight and or egg weight gains are below target levels. The combination of production, bird weight, and egg weight are always leading indicators for the actual daily amount of feed. In very productive flocks, it is important to give enough feed to maintain that production, but also when egg weight gains are below the target levels. Prevent the development of too much breast meat, because the maintenance of breast meat is relatively expensive. For maintenance of 100 grams of body weight, 9 kilocalories is needed. For 100 grams of the breast meat, it is twice as much. Beware that a lot of body weight is determined by the abdominal cavity. This develops between 23 to 30 weeks of age. Calcium. Provide calcium added to the feed as soon as the hens start laying from 20 to 24 weeks in order to make eggs with a strong shell. A considerable amount of calcium is required. The hen gets calcium from her bones and from the feed. The hens from calcium from her bones and from the feed. Linoleic acid. There's more linoleic acid in the first laying feed. This gives heavier eggs due to a higher yolk weight, more nutrients for the chick, especially in combination with more TSAA, methionine, and cysteine. Especially in combination with more methionine and cysteine. There's more linoleic acid in the first laying feed. This gives behavior eggs due to a higher yolk weight, heavier eggs, more nutrients for the chick, especially in combination with methionine and cysteine. Feeding early lay, it can be difficult to control the body weight of the males properly, because during this period, the males are increasingly included During this period, the males are increasingly excluded from the females' feeding systems. It can be difficult to control the body weight of the males properly. It can be difficult to control the body weight of the males properly because during this period, the males are increasingly excluded from the females' feeding systems. Therefore, determine the average body weight and weight gain of the males at least once a week. Also check their condition as you walk through the poultry house. Females at this time are eating for longer and longer periods as the feeding rate approaches their satiety. This gives males more opportunities to still feed. Females at this time are eating for longer and longer periods as the feeding rate approaches their satiety. This gives males more opportunities to still feed. This is a crucial time to control the male's weight. They should not become too heavy. But certainly not lose weight. Males hardly have any fat reserves. If they do not get enough feed, the weight of the testicles, this gives males more opportunities to still feed. This is a crucial time to control the male's weight. They should not become too heavy, but certainly not lose weight. Males hardly have their fat reserves. If they do not get enough feed, the weight of the testicles will decrease because the fat reserves will be used there as well, which will result in poorer sperm quality. Comb color and activity are signals of the feed control. Comb color and activity are signals of feed control. Before the laying peak, 45 to 80% of the maximum feed intake capacity is provided. After the laying peak, this remains at a level of 80% of the unlimited feed intake capacity. Before the laying peak, 45 to 80% of maximum feed intake capacity is provided. After the laying peak, this remains at a level of 80% of the unlimited feed intake capacity. Leaning feed bands. Females can only eat on one side, so poor feed distribution and insufficient feeding space. You can see the same with round drinkers, especially with a steep and slotted floor. Example of key feed characteristics in various phases. Energy pre-lay 2,750, 5% to 35 weeks, 2,850 kilocalories. 35 to 50 weeks, 2,850 kilocalories. 50 to 60 weeks, 2,850 kilocalories. Lysine, pre-leg 0.49, 5%, 35 weeks, 0.57. 35 to 50 weeks, 0.55, 53. 50 to 60 weeks, 0.49. Methionine plus cysteine, Prilay 0.48. 5%, 35 weeks, 0.56. 35 to 50 weeks, 0.54. 50 to 60, 0.51. Crude protein, Prilay 14, 5% to 35 weeks, 15. 35 to 50 weeks, 14. 50 to 60, 13. Crude fat, Prilay 3.5 to 4.5. 5% to 35 weeks, 4 to 5. 35 to 50 weeks, 4 to 5. 50 to 60 weeks, 4 to 5. Calcium, Prilay 1.2. 5%, 35 weeks, 3. 35 to 50 weeks, 3.2. 50 to 60, 3.4. Linoleic acid, Prilay 1.0. 5% to 35 weeks, 1.5. 35 to 50 weeks, 1.25. 50 to 60, 1.25. At the beginning of the laying period, there is a need for more energy, amino acids, protein, crude fat, and of course calcium. While the next feed phase is mainly lower protein and amino acids, keep egg weight low and don't let birds produce too much breast meat, but equal energy, high body weight, and a little more calcium for stronger shells. The hens must be able to select limestone particles so that they can absorb calcium as required. The hens must be able to select the limestone particles so that they can absorb calcium as required. The particle size must be at least 2 millimeters for optimal absorbability. Good sources of calcium are chalk and limestone. Feeding early lay. The most it can be difficult to control the body weight of the males properly because during this period the males are increasingly excluded from the females' feeding systems. Therefore, determine the average body weight and weight gain of the males at least once a week. Feeding early lay. Therefore, increasingly excluded from the female's feeding system. Determine the average body weight and the weight gain of the males at least once. Also check their condition as you walk through the poultry house. It can be difficult. It can be to it it can be difficult to control the body weight of the males properly, because during this the males are increasingly excluded from the male systems. During this period, males are increasingly excluded from the feeding systems. Therefore, the average body weight and weight gain of the males at least work. Females at this time eating for longer and longer period as the feeding rate approaches their satiety. This gives males more opportunity to still feed. This is a crucial time to control the male's weight. They should not become too heavy, but certainly not lose weight. Males hardly have any fat reserves. Males hardly have their fat reserves. Males hardly have any their fat reserves. Males hardly have their fat reserves. If they do not get enough feed, the weight of the testicles, male of the testicles, that will decrease because the fat reserves will be used there as well. Testicles.